We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Josh. And he has pictures as well, and I know I opened these. For a moment, Josh has, the moment, Josh has a single piece SVS PC12 Plus cylinder subwoofer. He has been trying to find the optimal location. He's done the subwoofer crawl and found that each potential location has a different null at his seat. The two best spots seem to be the front right corner and the rear left corner, which is great for later on. The front right corner gives him a null between 55 and 65 hertz, but really strong tactile bass below 50 hertz. The rear left corner sounds fine between 50 and 80 hertz, but there's a lot less output and no real tactile feeling until he gets below 40 hertz. So any thoughts on that to begin with? Yeah, that sucks, dude.
Yeah, to me, having a suck out a null at 55 to 65 hertz is a bigger problem. Because what you're describing in that rear left corner sounds like something that maybe could be addressed with some EQ. Whereas a suck out, where you're getting a real null, you can't do anything about that with EQ. That's a cancellation that's going on there.
Yeah.
And I'd be more concerned about that.
See,
That's my
okay,
opinion.
I've got two possible suggestions, neither of which may work. Okay, first, I would be doing some experiments with the phase knob on my subwoofer. I would definitely do that just to see if changing the phase gave you something a little bit more desirable. You are having cancellation. The cancellation is happening because the subwoofer waves are bouncing around your room. Now, my suggestion is that the place with the right corner, front right corner, which gives him the null between 55 and 65 hertz. I don't know what his main speakers are. I don't know if he mentioned that, but
Yeah, he's got SVS bookshelves.
oh, right. Yes. And they play down to 45 hertz, I believe.
Or so, yep.
So I might try changing the crossover and trying
That's pretty low.
I know. I'm not saying it will work. I'm saying that it might work. So change your global crossover all the way down to like 50 hertz or 40 hertz if you can, and see what that does for you. See if that makes it so that you're still getting the tactile bass, and then you're also getting, well, at least for your main speakers, change it down to 50 hertz or something like that, and see if the crossover being right in that bad area there gives you some less cancellation going out at your seat. Might not work. I think the phase knob has a better chance of working, but those are the two things that popped into my head when I read this question. I would do those two things.
Yeah, but to me, a null is a bigger problem because
But
a
they're
null
both
means
They're both nulls.
I guess maybe
They are both nulls. They rear sounds fine
he's
between
saying
50 and 80 hertz.
Second one, 40 and 50.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's getting nulls. It's just he's just moving it around the room based on where he's putting
Real
this up.
solution is two.
I know. We know that. We're getting to that.
Yes.
We're getting to that. So he said, yes, we'll eventually having dual subwoofers, one in the front right and one in the left rear, give him an ideal combination of these two output sweeps. Is that how dual subs work?
Not
That's not how they work, but
No.
this will make your problems a lot better.
Yeah. The outcome will be what you want, not for the exact reasons that you just said. I mean, the simplest way to put it is there is a wave pattern in your room. If you could see the waves, they would form a pattern. When you add the second subwoofer, the pattern changes.
Right.
You get a different pattern. So it's not the pattern that you saw in the front right and the pattern that you saw in the rear left. Like, because waves pass through each other, you could actually subtract one and get back the original. But if you're looking at the cumulative wave pattern, it is a combination of the two of them. That is a fact, but it doesn't appear exactly that way. It would be really hard to visually tell them apart. It's really hard to audibly tell them apart. But it is, it's changing the wave pattern by being this combination of the two wave patterns that you're starting with. So that's what you end up with. But that combo wave pattern should be much more uniform throughout your room and much more even. It'll fix your problem.
It will. The PC12 Plus offers some tuning options, including a parametric EQ filter, but the PEQ only offers a plus 3 dB boost while offering a ton of dB cut, usually minus 12. So that doesn't work to fill in his nulls. So is he overlooking something? Yeah, you're overlooking that you can't fill in nulls. Okay,
right. Yeah.
So a cancellation is a cancellation no matter how loud your sub is. Okay, I feel like the Lorax right now, but yes, a tree is a person no matter how small. You cannot boost a null. The louder you turn the volume, which is basically what you're doing by boosting, in those frequencies, the more the louder the cancellation wave is, which means you still end up with nothing.
That's right.
Or a much lower amount of something. So
five minus 5 is the same as 100 minus 100.
That's right. You still end up with 0.
Still end up with 0.
So all you're doing is making your driver work harder, your amp work harder, everything work harder for exactly 0 result. Why did SVS only give you 3 dB of boost? So that you won't boost it, dude. Because you'll go break something. So what it comes down to.
You keep turning it up. You're like, it's not getting louder. You keep turning up, and then eventually you have a problem.
You have a problem, right? Like your amp's overheating or whatever. So you are missing something. The thing you're missing is that you can't boost a null. You can cut down peaks though, which is what they're hoping for.
Yes.
So he puts the sub in the front right corner. It's a very tight fit and looks uneven with no subwoofer in the front left corner. Does it cause uniformity issues to have a sub behind the front right speaker, but not front left speaker? Well, you do have uniformity issues, but not because of which speaker it's behind. It's because you only have one subwoofer. And
that's right.
That's your problem right there. So,
and the solution is not to put a second sub behind your front left speaker. It's to put it across the room from the first subwoofer.
Yes.
I know that's unintuitive, and I know people like the symmetrical look.
Yeah, the symmetry,
right? I totally understand
I get it.
But
yeah,
because sound waves are so long and because they're always bouncing around your room and you're never hearing the direct sound, unlike the higher frequencies that are coming from your speakers, those you're hearing the direct line that came from the speaker to your ears. So they need to be symmetrically placed and equally distanced. The subwoofers, you're hearing the sound that reverberated around your room several times before it reached your ears.
There's a really easy solution for this though, because what he's got on this front right corner when he puts that speaker there, I keep losing the tab, is he's got that cylinder, right? That SVS cylinder. Yep. Now he should turn it so that we can't see the wires coming out of the back of it.
Well, yeah, but he's just testing.
I know
so
he is.
Easier.
So if he turns it so you can't see the wires coming out of it, and he's got a black tube that has some velvet wrapped around it, what he needs to do is get himself another tube, wrap some velvet around it, and stuff the inside full of insulation.
Just a dummy tube. Make it a bass trap.
Make it a bass trap. And I'm being dead serious here. I know it sounds silly, but make another tube, wrap some velvet around it, stuff it full of insulation, put a nice little grill on top, which is basically what this thing has, if you can find something like that, or make a mock-up of it, and throw it in the other corner. Like, just get a tube, wrap stuff it full of insulation, and then wrap the whole thing in vinyl or speaker grill cloth and throw it near the corner. No one's going to look at it too closely. And it's a bass trap, which you could use in this room anyways. It's the bass trapping. So I would definitely do that. That solves your symmetry issue. Your OCD can settle down. The visual. And actually does some good for your room. So he asked ultimately where should he place the two subwoofers. We already said that. And should he continue to use the cylinder sub behind one of his front speakers, or can he use a non-cylinder sub as his second sub? You can use whatever shape. You could use a triangle sub if you can find one, dude. They exist. You get a trapezoidal one from, is it trapezoid? What did we call the sub ones and sub twos? They're kind of trapezoids.
Oh, they're like, are they octagons or hexagons? They're hexagons.
Pentagons?
Oh, no, they're hexagons, I think.
Hexagons. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a hexagonal one if you really want to. So, yeah. All right. He also wants to get his higher frequencies in shape using a measurement mic, Room EQ Wizard, and some DIY absorption panels that he's already made. However, his Pioneer VSX44 receiver doesn't seem to offer much in way of manual EQ controls outside of his MCACC auto setup. So would buying a new receiver solve this? And that, of course, that would delay his second subwoofer purchase. So it's a solution which you should prioritize. You should prioritize getting that second subwoofer, dude.
Yes,
straight up.
I completely agree.
That, regardless of what receiver you get, your second subwoofer is going to make the biggest difference. If you want to start EQing the rest of your speakers, you've just jumped down you've gone from level like 1 AV nerd guy to like level 150. This is a serious
I would
jump.
kind of recommend for most people that you don't really try to EQ higher frequencies, because higher frequencies are very directional.
Yeah.
And that means from seat to seat, you're more likely to do more damage than good.
Yes. So,
I would leave it.
yeah. I would wait for Odyssey to come out, which you're going to have to wait anyways because you're going to buy yourself a second subwoofer. Wait for the newer receivers to come out with the Odyssey app and all that
With the
stuff.
app.
And then that's what you're going to be shooting for. You're going to be shooting for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because if you want to change the target curve, that's one thing.
Right.
But trying to literally manually EQ higher frequencies, I mean, it can be, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying it's actually kind of dangerous if you don't really know what you're doing.
Yes, I agree.
You can easily do more harm than good.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.